right, today is Thursday, August 13th at 4 o'clock. I am with Don Fiscus. So, Don, please tell me how you first heard about COVID-19.
Probably like the rest of America did. It came on the news slowly at first and then just rushed into a crescendo, and now it's on every newscast, everywhere, you know. Yeah.
So, I first heard about you when you went to get some potatoes. So, can you tell me about the potatoes?
Well, of course, this is some time ago, but in conjunction with the virus, I heard that potato farmers and onion farmers and farmers and ranchers in general were having their ultimate market, commercial market, shut down because of the restrictions due to the proclaimed COVID-19 problems. And I did a little research and I found that there was a farm, there was a potato co-op over in Reardon, Washington, that was giving potatoes away. A little further research, had to track some stuff down, but I made phone contact. The guy says, come on over, we'll load you up, and we have quite an operation going. I mean, if you have in my case, I have I pulled a trailer over there, but they also did it for people with pickups. They just put you in the proper alignment, and this conveyor belt came out and loaded you up. And, so I took just about what I thought the trailer could handle, which is about 10,000 pounds, because I took it to the top, didn't weigh it. And in anticipation of having this, then we also posted in some local community sites, Potlatch and Tadiri, that we'd have potatoes available for free at certain spots. And so we went there, and people seemed very receptive, and they brought their own bags, and we had some extra plastic shopping bags, and I mean, people brought waste baskets. They even brought 55-gallon containers that were empty and filled them up, and so we were able to distribute them first in Harvard, where I live. Then we went to Moscow, and then we came back to Potlatch, or we went to Potlatch after Harvard, and gave away a bunch. And then the next day on that, we went to Deary, and then just went from there. And they, you might say, they sold out pretty good. People picked through them. Some people wanted big potatoes, some wanted small. And we gave them away. The trailer was empty, and a couple days later, I got some requests. Are you still doing the potatoes? So we made plans. We went back over and picked up another trailer load, which we gave away. Not as many people took as many potatoes, so I had some left over, so I took them to my pastor's house and dumped them out for his pigs. So they all went to a good use, and made for a couple days of travel and activities for the wife and I and our 3 grandkids that we adopted, and all went well. I had a good time doing it and seeing smiles on the face. And when we pulled into like Princeton at the community center, and we were just sitting there, and people drive by, I turn around, come on back, and said, "Are you selling potatoes? This price is right. Bring a container, take all you want." And that's how that happened. Although it was kind of exhausting, 265 miles round trip.
That's quite a distance. And you did it twice?
Did it twice. Saw the mileage drop on my pickup dramatically, hauling that trailer and those potatoes. But it was worth it. People seemed to need them. And I wasn't trying to put any supermarkets out of business. It just come and get them.
So in March, pretty much everything was shut down in the area. So when you did this, did you see that there were a lot of people who were out of work or just hungry or?
Well, in the other outlying districts, you have a lot of retired folks, and people said there are different things. They were going to ask about can they plant them, and I said yeah, probably, and that was true. After about 2 weeks, the potatoes start little sprouts, so you can cut those off and use them as plantings. And people shared with me their recipes for a lot of things requiring potatoes. So it was really neat to get out and talk to people. We live in a kind of a quiet, isolated area, so it was good socialization. My kids helped out by helping people fill their bags, and people gave them tips. Amazing. Good people all around.
How old are your grandkids?
Well, the summer's birthday time, so by the time, if school starts, I'll have a daughter that's 12, a son that's 10, and a son that's 8.
So were they affected by school closing?
We all were. I'm not a homeschooler. I'm not a teacher. I tried that for a couple of years, many years ago. I just didn't have the patience then.
So how did you manage having them at home and getting their coursework complete?
Well, the Potlatch School District had arrangements that every morning they'd send out lunches and homework assignments on the buses. So, the buses met at 9 o'clock and they got their sack goodies and any homework assignments. And we have internet connectivity, but it's all off a satellite, and so we're limited with that. But we made available to them. I ended up with 2 internet providers. So we switch off which one was running low, and we try to get them in at times that weren't peak periods. But yeah, the kids did their homework assignments. I'm not sure they gained much from it. Hopefully it helped maintain whatever they knew, but all of the kids read. One's here at the library now, and they come up with some interesting questions that I need to look up. So, yeah, the distance learning, I guess you'd call it, was better than nothing. However, what can you say? I can't change things.
So I saw that there was a school board meeting last night, and they were talking about an AB schedule. Is that for the elementary as well as the high school?
As I understand it, yes, it would be for both the school facilities. But I was just reading the newspaper from yesterday that the White Pine District, which serves Beauville and Deary, and the Troy District, they mentioned one other one, but that they were all going to conventional schooling 5 days a week, in school, in attendance, and yet our school board voted to do the 2 days a week AB, or we'll see how that fleshes out. They posted online a survey that I filled out, and I selected as my option to go to have the kids in school 5 days a week. And that, that falls in line with an article I read from the American Association of Pediatric Physicians, that their group's recommendation was back in school full-time because of the socialization, and that the in-school teaching process is better than the split-up days and whatever. But I noticed that the board followed the superintendent's recommendation, and so that's what we have. Now I guess they're supposed to start sometime in September. It was moved back from the later August to September. I'm like Chief Joseph of the tribe, I will forever fight no more. I've kind of adopted that as a philosophy because I've had my challenges, and now I'll go along with whatever is the best way, or whatever is the prescribed way, I guess you'd say. I may not agree with it entirely, such as masks for the COVID. Again, if you do your reading, there's two sides to it, and they want to polarize everything. And one side says you got to wear masks all the time, and got to wear them. And some state governor that says, well, even with homeschooling, you got to wear a mask when you're in your own home, homeschooling. And I go, where's the logic in that? And you see the other side that say, if you have the disease, and I admit COVID-19 is a virus disease, and it can be deadly, more so with people with underlying health issues. But one brush can't paint an entire state. Our governor proclaimed an edict across the entire state, and yet here in northern Idaho, we didn't have the problems that they had down in the Boise and Ada County areas. And then they come up with a list of businesses that can be open, business can't be open, business restricted. I personally view the more draconian isolation, the more draconian measures of, you can't meet here and other things.
You said you prefer that?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I would voice my opposition to those measures, and we've seen politics have its play here in the state. A semi-local to us down in Kendrick, restaurant, bar, held a reopening, you might say, and they invited several politicians who attended. Now, these politicians are not on our governor's Christmas card list, you might say. The lieutenant governor, who the governor hadn't spoken to in like 2 months, according to all the sides that talk about it, was in attendance, and some current and former state politicians. And short time later, Idaho State Police descended on them. 12 to 15 troopers. They shut off the city. They literally set up roadblocks in there, and now they're being prosecuted for disobeying the mandate. And I don't know where that case lands. Everybody has an opinion about it. But the orders came out of Boise obviously from the governor's office to the commander of the state police, and he was following orders. So time will tell. I believe that the future will show at the end of all these court cases that are coming up, that those orders were erroneous and outside of what the Constitution of both Idaho and the U.S. tolerate and stand for. We're granted certain rights and privileges, freedoms, you might say. So time will tell, and I'll just sit back on my little piece of paradise out in Harvard and watch what goes on. I don't subscribe to any newspapers, which was exciting. I come in here to the library and I got a whole week's worth of newspapers. But both the newspapers are owned by the same company. They have the same board of editors, and so they write whatever the script is that the mantra that they follow. And I get a laugh out of them. Especially the letters of the editor and the editorials. I get a little laugh and I go, well, okay, that's the way you feel. It's not going to affect how I feel. So, and that's that.
Moscow has a mask mandate, but they don't here in Potlatch. Have you brought the kids into Moscow, and how do they handle having to wear a mask?
I've taken all the kids into Moscow very selectively. Before all this happened, I'd only go into Moscow maybe once every week and a half, and that would be for supplies, things that I can't get out here. Junction Lumber went away, and so if I need something of the hardware type stuff, got to go into Moscow. And because it's so infrequent, they don't mind. They just follow along. They're not exposed. They're isolated. I've read that masks. If you have the disease, if you have it, you're coughing and you get little sputum coming out, moist goblets or whatever they are, then a mask will contain those from going out and exposing other people. But there are some reputable people who have done research that say that as far as a non-infected individual wearing a mask, it's useless. Totally useless, because these things do not filter down far enough to get anything, the virus, if you're exposed to that area. So, stay away from people that are coughing. But I don't get upset when I see people with a mask. I see people without masks. I see people driving in their car wearing a mask. And I'm going, okay, if that's what you enjoy. I have a bit of a breathing issue. And so if I'm in a store, let's say Walmart, I'll comply with the mask requirement, but I find myself having to stop and actually lean up against some, a display case and catch my breath, and because the mask, I don't know, maybe it's psychostatic. I can't breathe.
I did notice with my mask, when it's on, I tend to be a mouth breather, but
Yes.
Nobody can see it because the mask is on.
Same here. I don't know. Masks. It should be a matter of personal choice. Just like the state of California that we escaped from some 10 years ago requires motorcycle riders to have a helmet on. Idaho leaves it up to the individual rider. Could be the same with masks. I'm not surprised that Moscow, with its University of Idaho leanings, requires a mask. The mayor and the city council, they also, this goes way beyond COVID. City of Moscow also changed their uptown business plan that's going to force the new St. Andrews school to move out. What's the city going to do with an empty theater? that nobody goes to. No. I commend driving home or into town yesterday, passed by Viola, and they have a sign out there that says, "The Viola Community Center welcomes the new St. Andrews."
Oh, really? I didn't know they were moving to Viola.
I don't know if they moved. I don't know the circumstance. Like I said, I just saw it yesterday, and there were cars parked at the community center, and the door, there looked like there was lights on and activity inside. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, it's 5 years ago. I'm driving in Moscow, and I drive down that one-way street southbound, and I look over and I go, NSA parking. With my particular background, I started looking at the tops of buildings for satellite antenna arrays because I thought it was maybe the National Security Agency, or no such agency as they used to call themselves. And then I realized, again, a little bit of looking into it, and I realized what was happening there, and I said, well, more power to them. They hosted a candidates for sheriff forum in their auditorium, and I had no idea where they were. I had to park off the way, and was walking in. I saw a sign that said NSA, and an unlocked door in the middle of the day, and I walked in, and it's open offices with computers and stuff laid around. I had to search somebody out, and I said, that door's open down there. Somebody of less, on that 10% of the general population scale, which is, I'll steal anything anytime I get a chance. And then I attended the forum, and it was informative. I had my candidate picked out. Fortunately, that prevailed.
You said that you first heard about COVID on the news. How did the kids find out about the virus, and did they have any strange questions or concerns?
They've been asking more questions recently because it's just getting more and more publicity, and of course with the masks, which we obtained our own, and everybody has in their handout these little things, that put too much stress on one end. The elastic pops out, then you're holding the mask up. And we've emphasized with them that yes, COVID-19 is a serious thing, and it affects people with underlying health issues and the elderly, which have the underlying health issues, more drastically. But I've also seen that some youth that have quote been diagnosed. But then you get back to recently the CDC, Center for Disease Control, recently announced, we made an error in our reporting. We were reporting some positive tests twice, and we're finding out that those positive tests really weren't positive. The people were not affected. So there's a lot of hyperboil about how widespread this is, and I go, well, that's because we're doing more tests, and the more tests you give out, the more likely you are to catch, somebody with, I don't understand, you have certain antibiotics that the thing is, and last December, before I ever really heard of anything about COVID, I went through a period where I had almost flu-like symptoms. I mean, aches in every joint in my body, and I had chills. I couldn't figure it out because I hadn't been anywhere. And who knows, maybe back then I'd gone through a minor session of this stuff, but I'm 75 years old now. And I wasn't hospitalized, I wasn't incubated, inhalated, otherwise whatever. And then you then the news is reporting, this terrible outbreak, let's say in New York. Oh, they're having deaths. Yeah. And later on, we come to find out that the governor of New York had ordered elderly into, to nursing homes that were highly infected. So you see a headline today, and you wait. Okay, let's wait for the dust to settle because the wheat goes away from the chaff, and pretty soon you start seeing signs that the numbers are inflated. Positive tests are being reported when they weren't positive. I can't find any the backstory of how supposedly some nurses at one hospital took 90 of the tests, opened it up, sealed it back up, sent it in for testing without it ever being used on a human being, and they came back positive. So how's that? Who do you believe? You have people who are reported experts on, and then further on down the road, you see that person is in a business arrangement with another person who's promoting vaccines. And they're in a so to have a developed vaccine that you've got money invested in, you're going to make money on it. And Russia just recently came out and says, oh, we're testing something that's highly successful. And this world-renowned expert poo-poos their results. Well, they haven't done this, they haven't done that. Why? Because he doesn't have a vested interest in it. But he does have a vested interest in this, quote, biolab in China that is at the center of the virus. I don't know. We will probably never, ever know the full extent of how, why, where, and it's real tough to get to expose the motives of people promoting a certain path. So I wear my mask when I'm supposed to. I don't venture out. I'm not going to be critical of somebody who wears a mask or who doesn't wear a mask. If I were around somebody that was coughing virulently and not wearing a mask, I would just avoid them.
So do you know anybody who has tested positive?
No. And I've lived and worked around many places and across U.S. and even overseas. I haven't heard of anybody. And when the story comes out, well, a friend of my sister's cousin got sick. Automatically, we're about three generations out here, and a friend of mine, because they all, that's how rumors get started. And what I see in the newspaper, if I read the newspaper, I read a lot online, and I'm not limited to any specific. I'll tap into and look at Yahoo, and they are definitely of the liberal bent. I read what's on CNN, I read what's on MSNBC, and then I'll read a conservative site, usually Drudge or Fox. And I try, if I see an article that interests me and it ties in with something that is reported elsewhere, then of course I'm going to follow up on it. And even after that, I have no concrete, hard, set rules. It is what it is, and it's going to carry the course. And I actually believe that this, the balloon's going up theory is political.
So What about friends and family who were maybe affected by the shutdown, who've lost jobs or ended up on unemployment?
Again, I'm still way out from the military, so most of my friends have retired. I do not know anybody personally who has been whose lifestyle has and income has been affected seriously. You read that the first COVID-19 recovery gave $1,200 to people, and for those on unemployment, they gave them an extra $400 per week. No, it was $600 per week. So that's $2,400 plus their unemployment, which is not their full scale of what they were getting paid, but now they don't have to go to work. They don't have the fuel costs of doing that, and getting $2,400 just tax-free thrown at them. It's just, I don't know.
But you don't have any family member who lost a job or anything because of COVID?
No. My brother and sister. My sister's still working, bless her heart. My brother's retired. He does work tax season, preparing people's returns. But and none of my immediate neighbors I know of are affected. I'm sure there are people here in Potlatch and our surrounding areas that are affected. And this goes back to with the potatoes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can call me Mr. Potato Head, I don't care. Call me anything you want, as long as it's not at my funeral. I just had to feel that some people were affected, and that's why I said to people, I says, take for your neighbors as well. You're not embarrassed. I don't care. Fill up four plastic bags. You brought 2, we'll give you 2. Share with your neighbors. You must have some elderly people who live around who may not have found out. They don't read the internet. Just show up at their door with a sack of potatoes and say, here you go. I wish I'd found a source for red potatoes, though. Those Idaho russets, as grown in Washington, were fine. But like I say, I got some new potato recipes.
And you said people have been planting them?
Yes, but I haven't heard how well those went because we didn't get back out for it. My attempt at planting potatoes was about 3 years ago, and I tilled up an area. I mean, I worked hard at that because out there we have clay, but I tilled up an area, and we planted some potatoes, and the only thing we accumulated were potato slugs, bugs, completely unusable. Tilled that whole area back under. It says, go back, Satan.
So have you seen more people this year planting gardens than before?
Yes.
Or using coastlines?
And more people reaching out to buy chicks. Wish I had a feed store. Could do well with that. Because we buy, not last year, the year before, but we bought chicks in the past, and we bought some this year. My wife actually ordered more because then she was able to find people who wanted just 4 or 5 chicks.
Really?
And if you get up and you order more than 20, then you get it for a reduced per chick rate. And so we did that. We got rid of all, farmed all the rest of them out. We got our little chicks there. And then about 3 weeks ago, I was out the side, like the driveway, and I heard this strange noise, and I looked, and here was a mama hen with 4 brand new, just hatched babies, and they hatched on the property by themselves.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, now we got got 4 more. Well, we got 3 more now. Can't find the 4th one. Sorry,
Oh,
you know,
that's all right. So
it
how
itches.
how many chicks did you buy altogether?
25.
And then you farmed out some of them to other people?
Yes, and we were going to keep 10. It ended up keeping 12, and then we got these other 3. So we open range, let the chicks get out and scratch, and then we supplemental feed them.
So what did you do to your arm there?
It's embarrassing. Shall I regale you the full effect?
Only if you want it recorded.
Being frugal, Lowe's, as an example, Lowe's wants $4.60 for a 1x4, 8 foot long. But yet they will sell you a 2x4 for $3.55, 60.
Were you ripping your own lumber?
I was ripping my own 2x4s.
My dad did the same thing.
And I had finished ripping one, turned the saw off, and for some reason, I don't want to blame my kids, it's my fault, you know, but I turned to look this way and my thumb went on down. And the surgeon in Lewiston saved the end of my thumb, because from the knuckle down to the end of the thumb, the bone was less than 1/8 of an inch thick. It just... So I got this handy dandy, the cast they put on me after surgery was just big and bulky, and just a couple days ago I got it changed to this new and improved model. And other than it throbbing, and the pain medication is like, you know, take one of these every 4 hours, and I go for 10 or 12 until it just, hey, because I'm not one on doing the body altering medications. Oop.
So a lot of other things have been coming back, blast from the past, not just gardening. I saw that the University of Idaho was doing a drive-in movie. Did you do those?
No. Moscow is about a 70-mile round trip. You know, Potlatch here is 23, 24-mile round trip. And, you know, I could take them in, I could take popcorn. We do all that good stuff, but it's 70 miles, and in these times don't need to be making useless trips. Although I consider this to be a useful trip. Okay, and I commend you for wanting to get this project done and documented. You know, because the thought might occur to me, but I'm just not going to devote the time and energy. So that's why I sent you the message yesterday and followed through today.
I don't have internet at home, so I didn't get your message, and so Beth called, but fortunately I only live just a block away.
Yeah,
so
that's what she said. Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, I live in an internet-free household. So.
Well, with the 3 kids, my youngest one just wants to play games. The oldest, the boy, says he wants to research, look something up. No, he's just looking for the cheat codes for his games. And my daughter, we gave her a cell phone, and she's just there, glued to her face all day long. If we hadn't done something about it, she just wants to communicate with her friends. Well, what if one of my friends has a problem and I'm not there to? I says, you're not there to solve her problem.
So how are you guys entertaining yourselves in isolation? Has it been very different from normal life?
No, we we'll periodically have a board game, but the kids have their own interests and devices. And there was a local lady that had horse camp 5 days a week in the mornings. I put the two boys in there. Girl wasn't interested. And after horse camp, where they got to ride on horses, then the youngest one has developed a real interest in horses. We have two of those. And so he goes out 2-3 times a day to work with both horses, walking them around. I'm desperately in search of somebody who has and is no longer needing it. The panels for a round horse pen. Because to get 10 panels at $115 a piece is a little beyond me. New. But he goes out, walks with them, rides them. My wife puts him up on the back and he rides like bareback, trying to look up and get him a saddle that'll work for him. But a neighbor just told me, he says, he's got one that'll work pretty well. Let the kid use it for a while. And so he's really into this. He even bought with his own money a pair of Western boots when we had him down at they had the cast redone in Lewis. They went to Big R or North 40 now. Yeah, I ran across a Big R in Fallon, Nevada years ago when I got sent to the air station down there for some work. I go, wow, this is a cool store. And then I heard nothing more about it, and then we moved up here, and I go, oh, there's a Big R down in Lewiston. And they changed their name to North 40. But no, our life goes on with or without the Covid-19. I try and keep my comments as non-political with the kids as possible. They're going to learn a lot from their schoolmates. They come on in, go to the pool, and they talk.
So is the pool open?
Pool is open, 12:30 to 5, I think. But even with the season pass, they went to swim night last Friday. They charged for that, over and above the annual pass. What the heck? It gives the kids a good outlet for, my gosh, good outlet for their energy.
Do you guys do much camping or hiking or?
No.
No?
The Marine Corps gave me the opportunity to have as much camping in my life as I ever care to ever see. And fortunately, my wife is kind of, along the same way. Her idea of roughing it is if we go to a hotel and room service takes more than 10 minutes. Yeah, that's roughing it. But the kids, I want to get them out and exposed as much as possible. We have people in our church that will take them and let them go experimenting. We have a pond on the property, and so they go down and play with the pollywogs, the frogs, constantly capturing frogs, which they then take back and release. No, you can't keep it in a coffee can under your bed. Frog won't appreciate it.
I know a lot of people have been going outside more since indoor activities like going to the theater has been suspended. And I went hiking with my boys for for Mother's Day. And the woods were just plumb full of people, so we've decided it's safer to do our walking at home.
I've noticed that. I have from my front porch, I can view a section of Highway 6. It's only probably 400 yards long. But starting on Thursdays, if I'm sitting on the front porch, I see the campers, just steady streams of them. And then some go up to Laird Park and horse camp up above there. And some go further, I guess, down towards St. Mary's. And I say, good for them. I've got a pickup truck that is more than adequate to pull a 36-foot monstrosity of a fifth wheel or some kind of camper, and I just don't care to. Guys want pancakes? I'll cook them in the house. I'm not going out over a campfire. Thank you very much. Besides, I don't like bugs. But I do notice that the summertime, it's almost getting like it is up in Alaska. That's up there. Women, they're snowmobilers and outdoor people in that regard. But boy, when summer hits, they are on their off time. They're just gone into the woods, and I'm seeing more and more of that down here. That's good for them. And for my oldest boy, one of his friends, the parents took him up to on a week-long excursion. And I go, that's really cool, and he liked it. He enjoyed it, and so we were out. I had to go out to St. Mary's, and he told me where it was, Chocolata,
Oh yeah.
And so I took the drive up there, and we went on down. He showed us where they camped, and just trying to fill in with, my job as a parent is just to keep their environment safe. And out where we are, I'm not worried about a stranger abduction driving down our street because you get on our road. It's because you're lost. And you've already gone past 2 private road signs. And it dead ends. So, most foreign traffic got out there about 5 years ago. I saw somebody pull up. It was a college. It looked like a college-age kid. School semester was ending. He dropped off a cat, which we adopted.
The infamous dropping of barn cats.
Yeah, well, I see how this virus thing and its restrictions is playing out. High school kids who are looking to shine because they're talented, they have God-given talent, and they're athletes, and they're looking to impress some schools to get a scholarship. And those in college that are really, really good are looking to impress professional scouts. So this is impacting on millions of kids with no school, you can't this, you can't that. WSU's schedule is completely canceled. Pac-12 is completely canceled. Well, that's Pac-12. Who's going to play in the Rose Bowl? Big Ten, Pac-12. Nobody plays games till the end of the year. Rose Bowl's on the 1st of January. What are they going to do? Draw straws?
So is there anything else pertaining to COVID that you wanted to add? Or something that we haven't covered?
I have prayers daily that people could stay safe and stay well. That our country can be healed, not just from the virus, but from the divisions of hate and discord that just, it's tearing us apart. And it was a long time ago, it said, no, you can't, a house divided cannot stand. And we have people who are deliberately propagating hate and discontent. So, I don't know, something's got to be done. I don't have the solution. Otherwise, I'd be up on the mountain and have people coming up and saying, "Oh, mighty one." What is your answer? Everybody has an opinion on things, and unless I'm asked, I'm not going to venture forth and give it. Live my life, my family, and we love it here. Like I said, we escaped from California 10 years ago, but 5 years prior to that, I saw the handwriting on the wall of what's happening down there, And we made plans. We came up here every year, a couple of trips in the summer, looking for property. You know,
Was the area that you came from hard hit by COVID?
no, we lived. Excuse me. We lived in a small, privately owned area, no homeowners association, in the Southern California mountains of San Bernardino Mountains. So we lived at an elevation of 7,000 feet. I understand that they've had one verified case of COVID among the people who live in the valley. You know, it's isolated, and it has its own own difficulties. But they're not hard hit. However, down the hill in the communities around there, they're right outside of San Bernardino, which is wow, like any big city has its problems. And several years ago, they were the #1 homicide capital. Homicide per hundreds in the country, and I think they've they're still up there in the running because of gangs and other things, and it's hot and it's sweltery and smoggy. But where we came from, no, we had 4 seasons, loved it, and now we have 4 seasons up here, and I'll be getting my thumb back probably just in time to put the plow on the 4-wheeler, the blade, so that we'll be ready for winter. I'm not terribly again, COVID-19 is deadly. I'm not particularly worried about us contracting it because we self-isolated beforehand. We take care of business. Most people, and close to that, been with people around was when we gave out potatoes, but that was, before we got all caught up in this. But half the people who showed up wore masks, and the other half didn't, except in Moscow, where most of them wore masks, and they're unique folks in there.
All right, well, that's our hour. I see that you checked it. I can follow up with you in January or February.
Your convenience.
And hopefully by then things will be back to normal. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, and thank you again for putting this project together, because time will diminish whatever is going on now.
That's one of the things we were worried about with the oral history projects, because with the ones that they did in the 70s and 80s, they were interviewing old timers about things that they remembered. And as you know, memory kind of dims. So we wanted to do it now as things were fresh in everybody's mind and it was happening now. So I'm glad that you were willing to participate.
I'll participate in this. I'm game with that. It's 5:00.
Yes.